All right. Hey, Brad Mcleod here, SteelGrinderPT.com. Very fortunate today to have a fellow frogman, Jeff Byers. Jeff was at SEAL Team 1. He served there overseas in harm's way, and then later on transitioned into becoming a contractor, also out there on the lead tip, and has started his own successful entrepreneurial business with frog fuel. So we're really psyched to have Jeff come on. So yeah, thanks so much for being with us today.
Hey, Brad, great to be here, brother. Really glad to be talking to you. And I know you and I have, we met in the past and we've interacted. So
yeah,
it's great when you guys can get together, support one another, and do good things. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it was great. I connected with you guys a couple of years back. I think I was still in Atlanta, and actually I know distinctly is that I had done a Go Ruck challenge for my 50th birthday. So that would have been like 7 years ago. So I tried your product then and fueled myself on and we'll talk about it later in more depth, but yeah, that was my first kind of taste of frog fuel and getting connected with you guys. So
I wouldn't be you over 50, but it's you're clearly not letting yourself go, man. That's great.
Hey, it's like anything. I think with any of us, if you just get out there and you eat well and you take care of yourself and all that, then it's all good.
It's not rocket science, right? It's kind of just do what you know. You don't have to get too crazy. But I remember being in the teams. And I was more of a runner. That was kind of my thing. I was a really fast runner. And I remember you're going to slow down when you're 30. And, because I was like, when you're 23 in the teams, you're like, I'm never slowing down.
Oh, yeah.
But 30, and I felt badass. And then it was okay when you get 40, and I'll be 45 soon. And
yeah.
So I've lost, a little bit, but I feel great. I'll still go run a sub 6 minute mile. 13.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, but the point is, if you just do what you're doing and stay active, that's 90% of it. And don't eat like an
asshole. No, that's it. I mean, as you know, when you drop off, maybe you have, you're consistent for a couple of months or even a years plus, what have you. But yeah, then, life kind of can take its toll, and, whether it's an injury or, being overworked or what have you. I mean, there's so many people that get a little sidetracked and then they're trying to get back into it. So yeah, that's always a tough course, but yeah, I'm interested. Tell me about you as a runner and say, going to Buds, being in the SEAL team. And I say that because I'm not very good at running. I've got these little short troll legs, and I struggled immensely in Buds running. My first time around, I had to go through Buds twice, but it was super tough for me. But talk a little bit about that. That's kind of like you get thrown to the fire out there when in your second, third week in Buds. Running behind those antelope instructors.
Yeah, well, I guess if you had to pick one thing you were good at, if it was push-ups, pulls, runners, out of all the stuff you're doing at Buds, running's probably the one because you're always running.
I would agree.
Yeah. So swimming was new to me, but I had a good foundation. I had a lot of endurance because I ran a lot. I ran track and I played soccer growing up. And I was like a miler. I had the state record in the mile in high school. So
wow.
Credit to my dad, I guess, too. My dad was a ranger and he was an ultra runner. So he did all these before they were really big, like the Uber to Telluride runs and all these crazy.
Oh man, up at altitude and lots of steep elevation. Wow.
Yeah. But so that was a good foundation. And do you want to go into Buds? It was.
Yeah, I guess just talk a little bit about Buds. Like, what if running was, I won't say easy, but if running came to you well and you excelled in running, what were some things maybe that tripped you up or maybe you weren't quite as good at?
Right. So, and I went to Buds. I went to college for a year. It wasn't for me, dropped out. So I was 19 when I went to Buds and I got there.
Right.
You were pretty young, right?
Yeah, 19.
See, so at that point, I think it was pretty beneficial, at least for me, because you didn't know what you were getting into, and you're, willing to tolerate anything. And so swimming and diving, the swimming wasn't so bad because all I had to do was kick, right, with the fin, so I could power through that. The diving was probably the most challenging thing for me because I wasn't comfortable initially in the water. And
wow.
I'd never had a regulator in my mouth. Nothing like that. So the learning curve was fast. And, those first 2 weeks of second phase, I was a little concerned because I probably like you, and most of the guys I talked to, you're not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. And I never understood, a lot of people do quit, but like that thought never came into my brain. I knew it was you're going to get hurt or you're going to fail something, but So the first couple of weeks I was concerned that I just wasn't going to be able to figure out the diving thing. And I don't know, it was literally like a couple days before pool comp, we were doing this. I remember it back because they had separated us and we had guys who were comfortable and guys who were having trouble. And I was in the trouble group, and they had us doing you did a 25-meter swim underwater. You came up and you could have come up and take one breath and they'd let you go back down. And then you had your scuba gear on the other side, right? So you came up, we took a breath and you swam the 25 meters back over down to the bottom of the training tank. And then you got on your rig, whatever there. And I don't know what happened that day. And it's like something clicked. I got comfortable and I got it, thankfully. And,
trial by fire. Sink or swim, man. That's a tough place to be in. There's so much stress that's being put on you mentally, physically. A lot of, your nerves are on edge, and you're having to perform at a high level with something that, like you say, pool comp. I mean, you can injure yourself coming up to the surface too quickly or unexpectedly. We had one of the guys in our class had like a little air embolism or what have you, ditching down, doing the pool comp, and he just dumped his gear and boom, went to the surface. Instructors couldn't keep him up. And he had a medical role. But it just shows you in just a few feet of water, the consequences can be really high. So that's true. It's commendable, man, that you were able to pull that together and be able to, make it out the other side. I mean, obviously we had a lot of guys get, the first class I went through in the summer, 125, we had a lot of guys getting rolled out of, and nobody was quitting. We're just getting rolled out for performance reasons in second phase. So it was just, we had a big class and, any little discrepancy or whatever. So I hear you, man.
You don't see a lot of people quitting after the first phase. Which, but all right.
To talk about that a little bit with, so you finished up Buzz. You were in the 1990s. What year did you graduate?
96. Yep.
96. Okay.
96. I started 206. I graduated 207. I got rolled in third phase I broke my leg. And then.
No way, really?
Yeah. It was stress fracture. Just I couldn't move.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Then you went over to still Team 1?
Yeah, I was at Team 1.
Right, yeah.
Team 1, I got
right
there.
Next door?
When did I got there in 96, and I was there.
Yep.
Yeah, till 01. 5 years at Team 1.
Wow.
And it was, dude, I had, and I'm sure, I talked to Amy Seal, they'll probably tell you this, but it was some of the, the best memories I've ever had, the best friends I've ever had, the best experiences you've ever had.
Yeah.
And it was, you're, as a person, you're growing. And of course we're 19,
Oh yeah, man.
There's just a lot of personal growth that takes place, over that period of time too. And, yeah, for the better. Just a good experience all around. So if there was somebody who was wondering, not wondering if you can make it, but wondering if it's worth it. If you can make it,
Oh
that's
yeah.
up to you. But if it's worth it and it's going to be a positive and experience that builds your life, then absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. So you spend any time overseas? You had deployments that you went on?
Yep. So right now, today, I've got 50 overseas combat deployments.
Wow.
It could be a little more. It's in that neighborhood, but I did a couple in the teams. I got out before 9/11.
Yeah.
So there was, and then I had I got out and I was a cop. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then 9/11 happened and I resigned from the police force. I was out in Phoenix, and then I started contracting on the federal side. And that was, 2002, I did my first trip. And the last trip I did was just a few months ago. So still doing that, but not.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So wow. The deployments, and it's the same kind of environment. It's changed a little. I won't get into it, but a little more political. Yeah. It seems like when things slow down, that's kind of what happens. But yeah, a lot of trips, a lot of experiences, and a lot of good guys. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I appreciate your service, brother. That's commendable. 50 deployments. That's just that's insane. And so how do you do that? Even how do you you've had that many deployments, been overseas, all this action in harm's way. How do you even transition back into day to day where you're just walking around your neighborhood? That's got to be, or just you're going to go get groceries, or you're paying your bills. You go from one, it's like a TV show, and then the next day you're back. How does that work?
Bro, that's a good question, and it's really on point because it wasn't easy. You would come home, because for the last 15 years, I probably spent more time overseas than home. And,
wow.
But that was, and I've got a son who's finishing college. He's doing it from home right now because it's virtual. So this is his last one, but he'll be graduating. But you're trying to, and I don't know about you, but I was traveling and I had gotten divorced once I got out of the Navy, and that was on me. I got an amazing ex-wife, but the travel, it adds a lot of stress to a family, and you're gone.
Okay.
So, I've got a young son, and you're trying to support him and the family and do all these things. So, it was stressful. But to answer your question, you'd come home and it was challenging. There was a number of times I'd had some confrontations and things like that, this is the one example I use. So I'd been over in Iraq for like 2 or 3 months, and I came home, and my kids got a soccer game, and they're in a soccer tournament. He's 10 years old. It's, they're young kids, whatever. They're competitive, but it's not a big deal. They're having fun. And the team they're playing, they end up winning this game. It's a physical game for 10-year-olds, whatever that means. They're kind of aggressive. The parents are all excited during the course of the thing, but the kids go through and they're congratulating each other. And then one of the fathers on the opposite team comes over and just starts laying into one of the kids on my son's team, not my son.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I see this happen. I'm like, oh. And I go over there. I'm like, hey, you want to fucking pick on somebody your own size and all this? And then a couple of the other parents come. And so I'm ready to go. I'm like, let's go. Let's do this. And I turn around, and all the parents on my team, they're just sitting there, like tail tucked between their legs. They don't want anything to do with it. Even the father who's getting yelled at. I'm like, oh man. And ultimately nothing ended up happening, but that's you're in Iraq, like it doesn't matter if somebody's in trouble or something's happening, we're all in. We're gonna, we're gonna do this, and whatever the outcome is, and that's what it is. But it's a different mentality. So it was hard, and that's kind of, those experiences spill over into the business side too now, because I'm with Alex, and Alex was a SEAL, my partner. We were at Team One together, and we've just got this great bond, and we know how each other think for whatever reason. But we'll get Alex and I will fucking get in these drag down fights and yell, and then we'll hate each other for like 48 hours, and then it's like it never happened. It's like, but it works, and now.
I mean, how many times, back in the day, here it is, you're talking about, in business, but how many times back in the day you get in an argument with a guy in your platoon, and it's just, and the next day you're right back out. You got to go back out, and you're in training and what have you, and you gotta have a short memory with that, and be able to brush it aside and move on. We've all got a job to do, whether it's, whether you're in the teams, or here it is you're talking about with business, or you're just being a good dad on the soccer field. You've got to pick those moments, say where, in the teams, you got to be aggressive at times, but then here it is you're talking about with the soccer team, being willing to take, say, okay, here's the situation, and dial it back just a little bit. It's really hard. I can't, personally, having not been in wartime or combat, I can't, that's so far outside of my bubble. But it's. So tell me about starting Frog Fuel while you're working as a contractor. You had your hands full. How do you do that? How do you start a whole nother side hustle when you've got more than a full-time job, a very stressful job, working overseas? How do you put that all together? In terms of being an entrepreneur and starting a business, that can be hard enough, but here it is, you're working overseas also. Talk a little bit about that.
So how do you do it? Not very well initially. That's the short answer, because it manifests out of a desire to, like, all right, I can't be going back and forth doing this till I'm 60, right? And so Alex and I had always stayed in touch and been close after we got out of the teams. So, all right, back up. So Alex and I had always, he was in my second platoon, and we'd always been close and stayed in touch. And at the time, Alex had gotten out, and he was working. We did a couple contract trips together early on, and Alex is he's a really smart IT guy, and he ended up going to work for Sempra Energy out there in San Diego, and he was in the corporate world doing like their cybersecurity stuff. And I had that brief period of time where I was in school at college. I had a friend that, again, I'd stayed in touch with, and he was a medical sales rep at the time. And he was selling this protein product to hospitals and nursing homes, all kinds of things. But it was this liquid protein that their company had developed. And it was really amazing product, and there wasn't much like it on market. And he was trying to get it into, like, is there anything we can do with DOD or whatever? And I said, man, I need an out from this traveling. Maybe we can sell it as something else. And that's when I talked to Alex, and we made Frog Fuel. And we weren't business guys, so we didn't know. We made every mistake you can think of starting this out. And it wasn't very economical, because at the time they had this medical company had the protein product, and we were licensing it from them. We're like, it's going to be 5 Hour Energy. We're going to be 5 years. We're going to be billionaires. And that's not how it works. But so we weren't making a lot of money. We're just getting by, grinding, paying them. And it was just a pain in the dick, honestly. And things changed because the medical company had a trademark on the name of the product. It was
really?
Yeah, so it was good. They on their
Wow.
the medical food at the time was
Yeah.
called Provide Gold.
Yeah.
We were just, it was the same thing. We called it Frog Fuel. They were making it, just putting in our pack. And one of the partners, like nephew or something, somebody saw this multivitamin at a store called Provide, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
the trademark infringement, we're in the health space. So they sent this legal letter to the company. Turns out to be this huge, like $1 billion parent company. And they're like, all right, well, we're just going to fight and litigate this. And, you know, they didn't have the funds to do it. So, and I say that's fortunate because the way it worked out was that Alex and I, at that point, kind of took over the medical side. We made him an offer and we bought him out. We had to rebrand it. That's the Pro-T Gold now. It's this bottle right here. So we call it Pro-T Gold. We had to change the name and we had to rebuild all the medical accounts, but it got rid of the licensing fees and suddenly we were profitable like 6 months later. And so it ended up working out, but I mean, like I said, we did everything wrong. We didn't understand the economics of it. We didn't understand supply chain and all these things that came together to make this product. We probably do a lot of things differently, but I mean, that's how, I guess, I don't want to say because we're SEALs, just somebody's successful, you're just going to keep, like, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to figure this out somehow. And, you know, that's what we did. And thankfully, you know, we persevered. Be resilient, I guess. That does, you know, that'll help you no matter what. But I mean,
yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's so many moving pieces with any kind of business, no matter how simple that business may look. Yeah, I had a little CrossFit gym. Was it 8-10 years back, and I, you know, I ended up getting sued for using a term. I actually had the name through CrossFit. Next thing you know, I get this letter, and another gym that was in San Diego had a similar name. It was a cease and desist, I guess, cease and desist letter, I guess you'd say. I was like, what the heck is this? You know, just little things you never think of in business that all of a sudden just start popping up. And, you know, when it becomes a legal, you know, issue like that, I mean, yeah, that's, you know, incredibly, you know, tough to deal with. I mean, you're trying to sell product and talk to clients and all that. And then you've got all this other stuff going on. Then you're still working your day job. So your day job being a contractor, you're overseas, you're in harm's way. So that's incredibly tough to be able to pull that off. I mean, like you say, the resiliency that you learned, you know, back in the teams, it definitely, you know, spilled over into that, you know, into that business startup. So, so you guys got your product out now. I don't have my laptop to pull it up or anything, but so where can I know we did a review on Seal Grinder a few years back. I'm going to post that up in the show notes and dust that off a little bit and get that back out to our readers. But tell us where can we find your product? How can we find out more information about it?
Yeah, frogfuel.com. and protgold.com. Now, and they're essentially the same thing. But we have, but our protein, it's used in hospitals, wound care facilities. It's used in dialysis clinics. It's used for chemotherapy.
Wow.
Bariatrics, all kinds of stuff. It's digested faster than anything else. Every calorie in the power protein, every calorie in that's from protein and amino acids. There's no sugar and there's no fats, and it's a collagen-based protein, but unlike other collagens, we add all the other amino acids that are missing or low. And it's just a really functional and effective product. And Alex and I wouldn't have gotten into it, you know, otherwise. We weren't just trying to put out, you know, a whey powder or something that didn't make sense. I mean, that was the appeal for us. But frogfuel.com, it depends. We have some grocery, H-E-B, Albertsons, Tom Thumb. It depends on where you are. And I mean, we got big medical distribution. We have pharmacies that sell the Pro-T. We have about 4 international distributors now too.
Can you talk a little bit about what's the difference between collagen protein and just like regular protein? And what I'm listening to you talk, and you talk about this is in hospitals. I think you said nursing homes. I mean, this is not like your typical protein. That like I used to buy at I used to work out at a bodybuilding gym way back in the day. We get a big old huge tub of protein, or even like the one you get from Walmart or what have you. I mean, this is obviously, this is, high level stuff. I mean, talk a little bit about that. Like, for one of our athletes, I'm sure that's a question, what are the differences and why is this stuff so high speed?
Sure. So the first thing to know about collagen is it's an animal product. So there's no vegan collagen. If you're a vegetarian but if you're an athlete, you're going to, you should be taking some sort of collagen, but the composition, the amino acid composition of it is much different than whey. It's very high in proline, glycine, arginine, and then some of the hydroxylated amino acids. But the reason that's important is those are the ones that are so important to healing soft tissue and collagen synthesis in your body. So we know if you take frog fuel, your body's going to begin stimulating collagen, and it's going to increase collagen synthesis. And we've dosed it at where that most efficient dosage is, and that's 15 grams. So if you take 30, they've done studies, it's collagen synthesis if you take 30, it's going to stimulate the same as 15. If you take less than 5, it's not doing anything. You're just wasting your time. So we've dosed it just right. But the collagen will, and there's research out now, it's the predominant protein in your body. It's 65 to 80% of the protein in a tendon and a ligament, cartilage. Your bones are a collagen matrix. It's mineralized with calcium phosphate, but those are like 95% collagen, and they all turn over. They turn over these proteins if they have the right amino acids, and that's from the collagen protein. And it's digested very quickly. The amino acids are in your blood they peak around 30 minutes, but every gram of protein in that frog fuel is completely digested within 15 minutes. And that's why the bariatric patients, these people who get, if you got a compromised digestive tract or your stomach shortened and your small intestine, it's really good for those people because of how fast it's digested and absorbed. So, and again, we get this question all the time, and it pisses me off. Like, what do Navy SEALs know about protein? And I mean, honestly, when we started, not very much, but the guy who created Stanford biochemist and PhD, and they knew very well what they were doing. And that goes back to, being part of a team and knowing like being aware of what you don't know and depending on people who are capable. But obviously Alex and I have learned a whole lot now. So it's the best thing out there in terms of if you're an athlete, and as you get older, you produce less collagen. So there's not a bad time. There's nobody that wouldn't benefit from it, really.
Yeah, being an older athlete, trying to recover from workouts, it's incredibly important. What type of fuel you put into your body, and you want to have the highest grade possible if you're going to perform at any kind of high level. So I've got another race coming up here in October, and getting prepared for that. And so you don't want to be I love to go just binge on I love pizza myself, but I just got to be really conscious of that. It's like what kind of fuel are you putting into your body? How are you recovering? A lot of other factors related there too, your water intake, sleep, and all that. But no, that's great to have access to such to a good fuel, to that collagen protein, being able to put that into your body and get results out of it. That's great.
Yeah. Well, when we're done here, man, hit me up and I'll get you some of whatever you want for your race, and I'll send you out a package.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, I tested it out before, did a Go Ruck challenge, and I actually used some later also on another bike race that I did in Florida. I think it was the next year, I still had some left over and used it from that. Used it during that race. And, my body's, it's really finicky when you do these overnight or multiple day endurance events. I started to get like a light GERD or what have you with too much sugar. And, but no, I took several of the frog fuels and went down good. And I was able to finish the race. So I greatly appreciate that. The previous sample, it's all gone, every last bit of it, So
I'm glad.
we wiped through it. Definitely appreciate that.
Right on, Brad. Yeah, anytime, man. I'm glad to help you out, and we appreciate what you've done for us too.
Yeah. Well, I did have another question too. I think I mentioned earlier in the questions that sent over about, I read about Operation Valor, and I guess is that a nonprofit that either you're associated with or you donated to? Just asking about that in general. Sounds like you're doing some work to help out with veterans. Just if you, what all you got going on there?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, actually, oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, we've done some stuff with the SEAL Fund, but Operation, I'd have to ask Alex, and I meant to do that.
And that might be what it is. Well, for whatever it is, it's Frog Fuel has stepped up to help other veterans. So that was my research, just reading online and watching some other podcasts and trying to get caught up with you. I did notice about that, and I thought, oh, that's good, man. You guys are giving back to help other veterans. So thanks.
We try to do that all the time.
Thank Alex for that. Yeah.
I will, but we could. I don't know. I'd have to find out. But
Yeah. Well, cool, Jeff. Well, thanks so much for being on our podcast today. It was great to have you. Great to hear about your success. And also in particular about the time that you served there in the SEAL teams. We greatly appreciate your sacrifice, being overseas in harm's way during the war on terror. And so thanks so much for that service. And we wish you all the best in your continued success. I know there's been a few bumps, but continued success with Frog Fuel, and anything we can do here at Seal Grinder to help you out and to push another frogman forward, help them out. We're more than happy to do that. So great to have you on the show.
I appreciate it, brother. And I'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for everything.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, brother.